If you've ever felt lonely before, you probably realize that the feeling is there because people are not related to your situation enough for you to feel like you feel understood, right? I was in a situation where I was going through something and someone just wasn't getting that I was feeling in this state, and so they kept trying to help me. But in that moment, I didn't need help. I just needed someone to have be in a similar situation to me to understand what I was going through, and that's it. Like, just to feel understood in the moment. Like, I've had this a lot of times where someone has come to me and they're feeling in this state of loneliness, or they're feeling like they've got a problem, and me being selfish, but me being like a man, a proactive man, a solution oriented man, want to help them solve their issue. So it could be whatever type of problem there is, I'm just coming up with constant like solutions. Oh yeah, but why do you feel like that for? You can just do this and do that, and then you're out of your situation, then you're in a better situation, X, Y, and Z, right? It just makes sense. But what I've realized is that person isn't looking for that. They're looking for someone to be like, look, this is my situation. I'm in that same situation. Let's feel shit together. And it's a bit of a, like, as a young man, you want to be like solution oriented anyway, right? And you don't want to hear like negativity or low thinking thoughts, right? Like, people around you want to be associated with high level thinkers, action takers, people who are like going places in life, right? But every now and then you will run across these people, and it could be your own family members, and it could be yourself at some point as well. And this is what I've kind of like stumbled upon, like a little golden nugget here, that this is the reason why you feel, or they feel lonely, because they don't feel understood. They don't feel like there's someone they can relate to in that department. Everyone's just trying to fix them selfishly. Like, if I fix them, it makes me feel good for fixing them. If someone fixes me, they feel good for giving me the answer. But I don't need that. I need someone just to be able to like relate to, chat shit with, bust jokes with about this situation, because they know what it's like to be in that same situation. I think that is the cure for loneliness, to have someone to talk to about your situation because someone else is in the same situation as you. Imagine that, like, you live in Antarctica, and I don't know if that's like north or south, but like, I think that's the south. And let's just say you live in a town there, even though it's like 200 miles per hour winds or whatever, but there's one house there, and that's your house, and then you live there. And for 50 years, you're just like, this is shit. Like, I can't get off this island. It's too far to walk to get planes. No one knows I'm here, but I'm able to kind of like get some fish from this little hole that I keep digging, that keeps sealing up. This is just a shit existence. You would feel so shit about it. You would just feel so lonely, so isolated, right? Polar bears, I don't know if they're polar bears there, but they're always trying to kill you. Like, all this situation, you have all these experiences that like no one else is like experiencing, and you just feel isolated and alone, right? But now, let's just say on your next birthday, your 51st birthday, for example, you get a knock on the door from someone else who's just like you, like your same age, and knock on the door and say, oh my God, I thought I was the only one. They say, how long you been living here? And you say 50 years. You're like, what? They say, I've been living for 45 years. I never realized you lived here. I'm only like 10 miles in that direction, but 10 miles in that direction, because you go in one way and never ever go that way, you never cross paths. Now, think about all the reference experiences that you two both would have shared, running away from polar bears, or or like being downwind from polar bears, hunting, or fishing, I should say, through your own fish hole. All the different things you need to be able to survive in this place, in this barren wilderness, right? All of a sudden, you don't feel alone. You feel like you've found a long lost friend, and you're like, you can connect on so many different things, because you're like, finally, someone who gets me. You're not trying to alleviate that problem. You have the problem. This is your life problem, but you've got someone else to relate that life problem to. It doesn't feel like you're all alone now. Now you've got a companion. You see what I mean? In that situation, you can probably understand that having that person with you just to be in that shit situation is what is getting you through it now. And it's just like, right, okay, I feel understood. I feel like someone can relate to me now. And that is what loneliness is, in my opinion. That is like what loneliness is, and why people are so lonely, because they don't have that person I just described in excess. They don't have the access to that person. They just don't know where to find them, perhaps. But they're all out there, and it's most likely people on your street, right? Especially if you live in a like Western world where like there's 1,000 people living on a street type of thing. It's very likely you can connect with someone, but you just have to get to that depth of understanding like who they are. Like, especially with entrepreneurs, right? Let's bring this back to like me a little bit. Entrepreneurs have a lonely journey because it is like the masses, 99% of people don't start businesses. They work their jobs and then they retire and then they die, right? They don't have an above average experience of life. But an entrepreneur can have access to that unique life because they're willing to do things that the average person isn't to get a business up and running, so they can have like, instead of what the average person would earn as a year, they can earn that in a month or a week perhaps, right? Probably even less if you're really, really successful. And going on that journey can be a lonely journey because there's so many different pitfalls, so many different like hurdles you need to get to make a business, to get something successful up and running, that the average person just cannot relate, because when you ask them a question about it, they're just like, oh right, like that's what you do, why don't you just get a job, like it's so much easier, that type of thinking, right? So when you run across another entrepreneur who's in a similar field to you, let's just say I'm doing this YouTube thing, right? And I speak to someone, I say, what do you do? They say, you're a YouTuber. And they say they've got a similar subscriber level to me right now. Now I'm like, oh shit, okay, cool. I feel relatable. Especially if they grew up in a similar area to me, especially if they're similar age to me, if they're same gender as me, if they're like got similar interests to me, if they like basketball, for example, if they like personal development, if they're into that, if that's their niche too. Like now all of a sudden we've got so many different things to connect on. We don't feel so isolated. We feel like we can relate to one another, and we feel like there's someone else who's going through that same struggle in the current moment that I am. And now I feel like, all right, cool, I'm not lonely anymore. This guy's like with me, he's gonna connect with me now, and we can kind of like follow each other's journey and see how he's doing. Like I can see how he can see how I'm doing. Any pitfalls that I fall through, I can say, oh, this is what I got through the other day, maybe you want to avoid that, and he can do the same thing for me, etc. All of a sudden now, you know, like I'm not lonely. I've got some companion that can kind of go on this journey with me, or stay stuck in the mud. Like there was an interview with Stephen Bartlett and Simon Sinek recently I saw, and he was saying like, this is like where I got this concept for this video, and he was saying like that people feel like they're stuck in the mud, and what everyone wants to do is like, oh, like you're stuck in the mud, let me come across, pull you out of the mud, and let's go, let's shake off the mud of you and let's carry on with our lives. That's that person being solution oriented, like I said at the beginning of this video. What they want is for someone to come and just sit in the mud with them and be like, yeah, this is shit, this is just stuck in the mud. To have that relatability to the person, and now they don't feel lonely. I thought that was something really insightful that they shared there. They just want to feel understood, and that whole it's selfish to help type of thing. It's actually selfless to sacrifice your own state for the short term to feel the empathy for that other person. And that's what I wanted to kind of round this video up with. So that's my take on loneliness, and hopefully it gives you some insight into your situation if you are feeling lonely, and you can kind of use that to find someone who is going through a similar situation to you. Don't just let them come to you, because they may not ever come. But if you go and knock on doors, if you like put yourself out there and tell your situation, who knows, you may find a friend for life that is going through a similar situation to you, who wants to find you too. You just got to put your hand out there and or knock on the door or speak to people, and you'll find out. And especially nowadays, to be honest, with like the internet, there's so many different places you can go and find these people. A quick email here and there would actually help too. So that's what I want to say. I hope that helps, and I hope this inspires you to maybe go on your own journey of finding the friends you want to connect with in life.